Good evening, friends. Welcome back. Today we are going to look at how to create dynamic Excel list or dynamic name range. So what are the three basic uses of dynamic name ranges? We can use these in dynamic drop down lists. We can use them in formulae, and also we can use them in dynamic charts. So we are going to have a quick demo of these three uses, how it can be useful, and then we can have a live demo of this is same example in Excel. Okay, so here is an Excel sheet. We have a data of state and the sales amount. The first one is choose your state. So this is a normal data validation. Generally how we do it, we use a data validation and we use a list. So over here we have created a named range list underscore states, and then this list is dynamic. So for example, right now if you see, it starts with Arizona and ends in Florida. That's the last state over here. So suppose if we have a new state, for example Colorado, and say 17. So what you are seeing here is this is our named range, and now we have a dynamic list. So this is something that we can keep adding the information on the data, and it will dynamically allow us to pick and choose the particular state based on the data list that we have created. Also, we have used a particular list in a VLOOKUP formula. Okay, so once we add this information, we don't need to again change the formula and update it as per the new row. So everything gets taken care of automatically. Also, we have seen here in the third example, this is a dynamic chart. We have a bar graph, and as soon as we added the Colorado over here, it updated the chart with the Colorado information. For example, if we remove this information over here, the bar chart automatically gets updated, and again your state now does not have the list of Colorado. So this is what we are going to replicate in our example. All right, so let's just copy this raw data, and we are going to create a new worksheet. Okay, all right, and I'm just going to close the old one so that we don't. So here is our state and the amount. So what we are going to do is we are going to create. Now what is the most important thing when we create a dynamic named range? The most important ingredient is actually the use of offset function. So we are going to see how we can use this offset function. Okay, so offset. Now what are the components of this offset function? First is the reference. So let's give a reference of the state. Okay, so this is where my reference is going to start. Now it is asking for the row and columns. So we are going to say start off this information from one row below. Okay, one row below, and I want my column again on the same row where my state is. Okay, and then I want my height. So the height is basically what is how long is going to be my list. So I'm going to say count A, and I'm going to use A to A. So I'm going to basically count all the information, all the values in the column A. Okay, that will give me a value of there are this 12 information, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So count A brackets for the whole of the column A will give me 12 rows. Okay, but actually my height should be actually only be about starting from Arizona to Florida. So I'm going to remove the counts for this particular value and the state header. I don't need a state header, so I'm going to use -2. Okay, and what is the width going to be? So if I'm going to use only the state as my list, I want only one column, so my width is going to be only 1, and I'm going to use this in a formula. So I'm just going to copy this, Control C. Okay, I'm going to go to the formula name manager. I'm going to create new. I'm going to say list state, and I'm going to copy this value here, the formula here. Okay, so now we can see what we get over here. We get the values from Arizona to Florida, and now this list is dynamic. Okay, so for example, if I enter Colorado, okay, let's look whether we get a dynamic list. So this, when we click here, you see here now it has included Colorado as well in the list of values. Okay, so our formula is working fine. Okay, now we are going to do the same thing for the amount. Okay, so again this will be offset. This time I'm going to use a reference of amount F4. I'm going to use my value of the row will start from 12,000, so that's the B4. Okay, so it's one row below, and my column will be the same column, so 0. Okay, column the height, so again I'm going to use the count a function. I'm going to this time I'm going to use B. Okay, F4, and this time I have only a header information that I need to remove, so I'm going to use only -1, and width is going to be 1. Okay, I'm going to copy this. Again I'll go to my name manager. I'll create a new list amount. I'll copy the formula here. Okay, let's see what we get. Okay, so now we have it a perfect from 12,000 to the data set up to Florida. Okay, let's see whether we get a correct value. If we add something here, 17,555.23 for example. So let's look at the name formula, list amount. Yeah, so it seems to be working fine. Now one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use start from here. I'm going to have values up till 2 columns. Okay, so I'm going to create an offset reference state F4, row starts one row below, so one row below, column I want it start from the same column as the column A. Height, this time I'm going to use count A to as we had done before, sorry, -2, and this time my width will be state as well as the amount, so I have 2 columns to take care of, so it will be 2 here. Okay, copy, go to the name formula, create one list state, so I have both the parameters in this one. Okay, let's look at it. Great. So now we have created all our lists basically, and we have used the offset function. So now using the dynamic uh, validation, so choose your state, amount. Okay, so I'm going to go to data, pick up the validation. I'm going to use a list, and the source you can press F3, that will list down all your named ranges that you have defined using the formula. And now in the choose your state, I'm going to use the list state and click OK. Okay, So now if you see, I have a list of starting from Arizona to Colorado. Great. So let's just pick up the first one, and now we'll use the name range in a formula. So here we're going to do a VLOOKUP. What do you want to look up? Arizona for a table array. So this time your table array, we will use the array that we have created, which includes the state as well as the amount. So use F3 function key F3. We'll choose the list state amount. Okay. And within that array, I want to list down the amount. So amount is actually the second column in that array. So I'm going to choose column index as 2, and I'm going to do an exact match. There we go. So now, for example, if we choose Georgia, so it's the value we get here. Okay. So now for the third part, we are going to use and create a chart. Okay. So this is our chart range. Okay. I'm going to do an insert. I'll do a recommended charts. Okay. So this is the bar chart that they are recommending. Let's use that. Okay. Now up until now, the information that you see here is all static information. Okay, that means suppose if I enter a new state, for example Idaho, and say I have a value of 5376.33, you see it does not change as of yet, although it has changed in our the list of values. So I can use the Idaho over there, but the chart is still using a static range. So we have to change this. Okay. So let's select the data. Now you see there are two parameters here. One is the amount, one is the list of states. So this is where we have to change, edit. Okay. So I'm going to say sheet 1, I'll keep that, and F3, I'm gonna list the state. Okay. All right. And on the amount, I'm going to select edit. I want to keep the series name as constant with the amount. That is fine. However, the series values is where we want to make a change. So I'm going to pick up the series value. I'm hit F3 and I'm going to pick up the amount. Okay. Okay. All right. So now our chart has become dynamic. So if you see here right now, Idaho has turned up over here there in the sheet. If you want to see whether it's dynamic, let's delete it, and there you go, the chart has changed and your chart has become dynamic as well. Okay, so the dynamic name ranges gives you the benefit to allow you to make use of dynamic charting. Also you can make use of the list of values that we can use in the drop down list as data validation, and we can also use dynamic name ranges in some advanced formulas. Thank you guys. If you have any questions, do put in your comments and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.